Have you ever opened your banking app and, for once, felt a sense of relief instead of anxiety? No panic, no mental calculations about whether you can afford your next purchase, no worrying about stretching your budget until payday. There comes a point in a person's financial journey when money stops feeling like a constant source of stress and starts feeling like a tool. Surprisingly, that turning point is often much closer than people imagine. Many financial experts focus on becoming a millionaire or reaching a six-figure income. While those goals are impressive, they overlook a much more important milestone, one that can completely transform the way you think about money. For many people, that milestone is reaching $20,000 in savings and investments. I'm passionate about studying personal finance, wealth-building habits, and the psychology behind financial success. One thing I've noticed is that people who achieve long-term financial stability aren't necessarily smarter or luckier than everyone else. They simply understand a few key principles that most people never learn. Before we explore why $20,000 can be such a powerful financial milestone, consider this question. What comes to mind when you think about wealth? Maybe you picture someone born into privilege who never had to worry about bills. Or perhaps you imagine decades of hard work, carefully saving a little bit at a time. The reality is that wealth creation usually doesn't happen in a straight line. Instead, there are certain financial checkpoints that change the game entirely. Once you reach them, the rules begin to work differently. One of the most important early checkpoints is $20,000. This amount often separates people who are building momentum from those who remain trapped in a cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. Most people don't even realize this threshold exists. Imagine pushing a massive stone uphill. In the beginning, every inch requires effort. Progress feels slow. Sometimes it seems like you're working incredibly hard with little to show for it. But eventually, the stone reaches the top of the hill. Once that happens, momentum begins to help you instead of working against you. Financially, $20,000 often represents that moment. Before reaching it, building wealth can feel like a constant uphill battle. After reaching it, the process starts to become easier because your money begins contributing to the journey. What makes this milestone so powerful isn't only the numbers. The bigger change happens in your mindset. When savings are limited or non-existent, most financial decisions are driven by urgency. Every unexpected expense feels threatening. Every paycheck already has a destination before it arrives. In that state, it's difficult to think about growth because survival consumes your attention. Psychologists often describe this as a scarcity mindset. When resources feel limited, the brain naturally focuses on immediate needs rather than long-term opportunities. But when a meaningful financial cushion exists, something changes. Instead of constantly asking, "How do I make it through the month?" you begin asking, "How do I make my money work harder for me?" Instead of reacting to every challenge, you start planning ahead. Financial security creates mental space. Research consistently shows that even a modest emergency fund improves confidence, reduces stress, and increases overall financial well-being. As savings continue growing, those benefits become even stronger. For many households, reaching around $20,000 means having several months of living expenses available. That level of security creates breathing room, and breathing room creates better decisions. The numbers become even more interesting when investing enters the picture. Suppose someone invests $1,000 every month while earning an average annual return of 8%. The first $20,000 may require nearly 2 years of discipline and consistency. However, the next $20,000 usually arrives faster. Why? Because your original money is now helping generate additional growth. You're no longer relying solely on your contributions. Your investments begin contributing alongside you. This is where compound growth starts becoming noticeable. As balances increase, every future milestone requires less effort relative to the one before it. Over time, the process accelerates. Eventually, investment growth can generate amounts that once took years of saving to achieve. And that's when many people realize an important truth. Building wealth isn't only about working harder. It's about reaching the point where your money starts working too. The real lesson isn't that $20,000 is a magical number. The lesson is that reaching a meaningful financial foundation changes both your finances and your mindset. You stop seeing every expense as a crisis. You stop making decisions based purely on fear. You begin recognizing opportunities that were always there, but were hidden by financial stress. The confidence that comes from knowing you have options is often more valuable than the money itself. That's why this milestone matters. It's not the finish line. It's the point where the journey starts becoming easier. And once you experience that shift, you'll never look at money the same way again. Because at that point, you begin to realize that wealth isn't really about having more stuff. It's about having more choices, the ability to say no to opportunities that don't serve you, the ability to walk away from situations that no longer align with your goals, the ability to make decisions based on what's best for your future, rather than what helps you survive today. Most people assume wealth is measured by luxury. They think wealth means expensive cars, designer clothes, large houses, and visible displays of success. But true financial strength often looks much quieter. It's the person who doesn't panic when an unexpected bill arrives. It's the person who can take time to find the right job instead of accepting the first offer out of desperation. It's the person who can invest in learning new skills, starting a business, or pursuing opportunities because they have a financial cushion behind them. In many cases, financial freedom begins long before financial wealth. And that's an important distinction. A person with a high income but no savings may look successful on the outside while feeling trapped on the inside. Meanwhile, someone with a modest income and a strong financial foundation may have far more control over their life. Control is one of the greatest benefits money can provide. Not control over other people, control over your own decisions, control over your time, control over your future. This is why reaching financial milestones matters. Not because of the number itself, but because of what the number represents. Discipline, patience, consistency, delayed gratification, responsibility. Those qualities are what create wealth. The money is simply evidence that those habits are working. In fact, if someone can save and invest their first $20,000, they've already demonstrated something extremely valuable. They've proven they can consistently do what many people only talk about doing. They've shown that they can prioritize long-term goals over short-term impulses, and that skill becomes more powerful as time passes. Because wealth building is rarely about one dramatic decision. It's usually the result of hundreds of small decisions repeated over years. Choosing to save instead of spend. Choosing to invest instead of consume. Choosing to think long-term instead of seeking instant gratification. These decisions may seem insignificant on any given day, but over decades, they create extraordinary results. The challenge is that most people underestimate the power of consistency. They want immediate transformation. They want quick results. They want financial success to happen faster than reality allows. But wealth tends to reward patience. The people who build substantial financial security aren't necessarily making perfect decisions every day. They're simply making good decisions more often than bad ones. And they're allowing time to work in their favor. Think about a tree. The strongest trees don't grow overnight. For years, much of their growth happens beneath the surface. Roots spread deeper. The foundation becomes stronger. From the outside, it may appear as though very little is happening. But beneath the surface, the conditions for future growth are being created. Financial success works much the same way. The early stages often feel slow. Progress may seem invisible. You might wonder whether your efforts are making any difference at all. But every dollar saved, every investment made, and every smart financial decision strengthens the foundation beneath you. Then one day, the results become visible. The growth that once seemed impossible begins to accelerate. The opportunities become larger, the risks become smaller, and the confidence becomes stronger. That's why the first major milestone matters so much. Not because $20,000 is a magical number, but because it represents proof. Proof that you can build wealth. Proof that you can control your financial future. Proof that you're capable of creating momentum. And once momentum is on your side, everything changes. The journey doesn't become effortless. Challenges will still appear. Markets will still fluctuate. Mistakes will still happen. But you'll face those challenges from a position of strength rather than vulnerability. You'll have options. You'll have confidence. And most importantly, you'll have time. Because ultimately, wealth isn't just about money. It's about freedom. Freedom to choose. Freedom to grow. Freedom to create the life you want. And for many people, that journey begins with a simple goal: building the first financial foundation strong enough to change the way they think forever. So, what's the real lesson here? It's not that $20,000 is a magical number. It's that building a strong financial foundation changes the way you think, the way you make decisions, and ultimately, the way you live. The moment you stop living in constant financial survival mode, you gain something incredibly valuable: options. Options to take opportunities. Options to solve problems without panic. Options to think about the future instead of constantly worrying about the present. That's when money stops being a source of stress and starts becoming a tool for creating the life you want. Remember, wealth is rarely built through one lucky break. More often, it's the result of small, consistent actions repeated over long periods of time. Saving regularly, investing consistently, avoiding unnecessary debt, making thoughtful decisions, and allowing time to do what it does best: compound your efforts. The truth is, you don't need to become rich overnight. You simply need to keep moving forward, $1 at a time, one smart decision at a time, one milestone at a time. Because every great financial journey starts with a foundation. And once that foundation is strong enough, progress becomes easier, opportunities become clearer, and confidence begins to replace fear. So if you're still working toward your first major financial milestone, keep going. Don't underestimate what consistent effort can achieve. The future version of you is being built by the choices you make today. If you found value in this video, be sure to subscribe and share it with someone who could benefit from hearing this message. And let me know in the comments, what financial milestone had the biggest impact on your life? Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep building the future you deserve.